I pushed my cart through the fluorescent-lit supermarket, the familiar hum of refrigerators and the squeak of wheels echoing through the vast space. It was late, and the store was eerily quiet, with only a handful of customers scattered among the aisles. As I browsed the shelves, a sense of unease washed over me. The atmosphere felt heavy, like a storm brewing on the horizon. With each step, the flickering overhead lights seemed to cast elongated shadows that danced along the floor. I shook off the creeping sensation, attributing it to my tired mind playing tricks on me. But as I ventured deeper into the store, an inexplicable chill settled in my bones, and the air grew thick with an unsettling energy. I turned into an aisle lined with canned goods, and a flicker of movement caught my attention. I froze, my heart pounding in my chest as I scanned the shelves. That's when I saw it. A can rolling slowly on its own, as if pushed by an invisible force. My eyes darted around, searching for an explanation, but the aisle remained empty, devoid of any human presence. Unable to explain the phenomenon, I hurriedly moved on, eager to escape the unease that had settled upon me. But the supermarket seemed to have transformed. The once familiar layout now felt labyrinthine, as if the walls themselves shifted, leading me further into a web of confusion. Panic began to claw at the edges of my mind, urging me to flee, but I pressed on, desperate to find the exit. As I navigated the produce section, a rustling sound emanated from a pile of fruit crates. Hesitant, I approached cautiously, my eyes widening in horror as a swarm of insects burst forth, their buzzing wings filling the air. I stumbled back, swatting at the air, but the insects seemed to materialize out of thin air, multiplying and descending upon me with relentless fury. Their tiny bodies brushed against my skin, their bites leaving angry red welts. I abandoned my cart and ran, swatting and screaming, desperate to escape the onslaught. With my heart racing and my body covered in welts, I stumbled into another aisle. My eyes widened in disbelief as I witnessed a row of cereal boxes toppling over in a domino effect. They crashed to the ground, creating a deafening cacophony that reverberated through the store. I clutched my head, overwhelmed by the chaotic symphony. The supermarket had become a twisted playground, where objects moved of their own accord, defying the laws of nature. Seeking solace, I hurried towards the checkout lanes, only to find the registers unmanned, their conveyor belts inexplicably moving. Groceries appeared to scan themselves, their prices flashing on the digital displays. I gazed at the empty cashier stations, the sensation of being watched intensifying. Whispers echoed through the aisles, barely audible yet filled with an unmistakable malevolence. In a final desperate attempt to escape, I raced towards the exit, praying for respite from the horrors that haunted the supermarket. But as I pushed open the doors, a gust of cold wind greeted me, carrying with it an otherworldly howl. The parking lot stretched out before me, desolate and shrouded in darkness. I was trapped, locked within the confines of a nightmare from which I could not awaken. With trembling hands, I reached for my phone, desperate to call for help, only to find it devoid of signal. Tears welled in my eyes as I realized the truth. I was trapped in a realm where the rules of reality no longer applied. The supermarket, once a mundane place of convenience, had transformed into a twisted realm of terror. Now I wander the aisles, my footsteps echoing through the empty store, haunted by the horrors that lurk in every shadow. If you ever find yourself in the grip of a supermarket after hours, beware the malevolent forces that lie in wait. For once you step into the aisles of dread, there may be no escape. It was a typical evening when I found myself in the midst of a mundane shopping trip at the local supermarket. The bright fluorescent lights illuminated the neatly arranged shelves, tempting me with an array of products. The hustle and bustle of fellow shoppers filled the air, creating a familiar backdrop for my routine. As I made my way down the first aisle, a sense of unease crept over me. I couldn't quite put my finger on it, but something felt off, as if a shadow lurked just beyond my peripheral vision. Ignoring the nagging feeling, I focused on my shopping list, determined to complete my errand swiftly. But as I reached for a box of cereal, my hand brushed against another, causing it to fall to the ground with a loud crash. Startled, I turned to apologize, only to find no one there. Confusion washed over me as there had been no one nearby. I dismissed it as an accident, chalking it up to my own clumsiness. As I moved through the aisles, that unsettling feeling persisted, intensifying with every step. Whispers, barely audible, seemed to float through the air, their source eluding me. I strained to catch their words, but they remained just out of reach, a disconcerting symphony of secrets. Turning into a new aisle, I froze. The shelves, once filled with neatly arranged products, now stood empty and barren. The atmosphere grew thick with an oppressive stillness. I hesitated, questioning whether I had entered some sort of post-apocalyptic nightmare. It was then that I noticed movement in the corner of my eye. I turned, only to find a figure dressed in tattered clothing standing at the end of the aisle. The person's face was obscured by a hood, casting a sinister shadow. A chill ran down my spine, but curiosity got the better of me, urging me to approach. As I cautiously closed the distance, the figure retreated, gliding effortlessly through the supermarket. I followed, my heart pounding with a mix of fear and curiosity. The figure led me deeper into the labyrinth of aisles, maneuvering with an eerie familiarity, as if navigating an invisible path. Abruptly, the figure vanished around a corner. I quickened my pace, anxious to catch up, but when I reached the spot, there was no sign of anyone. Confusion and apprehension mingled within me, leaving me on edge. The supermarket had transformed into a twisted maze, its shelves rearranging themselves in an intricate dance of disarray. Whispers grew louder, their words finally distinguishable yet chilling to the bone. They spoke of forgotten tales, of lost souls trapped within the aisles, condemned to wander for eternity. Determined to escape this spectral supermarket, I retraced my steps, searching for an exit, but every turn led to a dead end, the aisles mocking my attempts to flee. Panic gnawed at my sanity, threatening to overwhelm me. I had unwittingly stumbled upon a realm of the supernatural, trapped in a nightmare from which there seemed to be no escape. As I wandered aimlessly, an overwhelming presence washed over me, suffocating and malevolent. The unseen shopper, the entity that had lured me deeper into this realm, materialized before me. Its eyes glowed with an ethereal light, devoid of humanity. It reached out, its hand icy to the touch, and whispered in a voice that echoed with ancient sorrow. "You are now one of us, forever lost in this supermarket of souls. Welcome to your eternal nightmare." The words resonated within me, sealing my fate. I had become a prisoner in this spectral supermarket, condemned to roam the aisles alongside the lost souls of the unseen shoppers. The whispers became my only companions, a haunting reminder of the horrors that awaited those who dared to enter. So if you ever find yourself in the aisles of a desolate supermarket, heed my warning. Be cautious of the unseen shopper, for once it sets its sights on you, your fate will be sealed, and you too shall become a ghostly inhabitant of the supermarket's eternal nightmare.